Okay, today I'm demonstrating making cylinders, 2 different cylinders using slabs, a bevel tool, a needle tool. So I have already rolled out a slab and I've smoothed it out and cut it to the dimensions that I had on my templates. Now I'm ready to join this end and this end, plus do the same to this side, and then we'll add a bottom to each of them. So my first job is to cut a bevel on the edge. I'm just going to use that bevel all the way on the side and put my thumb at the end to keep the clay from sliding. And what that's doing is it's giving it a nice perfect angle so that when I join the 2 pieces together, they're going to overlap. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the opposite side, and this is going to join together nicely. Now I can see that the back did not get smoothed out, but I can always, work on that a little bit later. I'm just going to use my hand real quick. So even though I'm not going to see the inside of this little fairy house, I want to have as smooth of a surface as I can have, just because that's my preference. Alright, now what I'm going to do is use my needle tool, and I'm going to score each of those little beveled edges and then add slip. Now, right at this stage, it is still in the plasticity stage and is very, very flimsy. Some people may benefit from using a blow dryer to join their pieces together. Let me turn this around so you can see. Now I'm going to add some slip to the seams before I join them together. Kind of messy today, but that's okay. Alright, now I'm going to join these 2 together and hold on to the inside as well as the outside. And once I have the 2 seams together, I'm going to work on blending so that those 2 little edges that little seam starts to disappear. And I can always use my hands. And the hands are always your best tool, and it's always available. So if I don't have anything handy to work with at the moment, just using your hands will do the job. Alright, so on the inside, I'm also going to be smoothing that out. I'm going to grab a rib tool and just help go over all of those little seams. I want to drag clay from around and just kind of get rid of the seam so that I'm able to not only join the seams together so that they will stay together, but also make them so that you don't see it. So I can go vertical up and down, but I also really prefer to go side to side when I'm getting rid of a seam, just to kind of help bring clay over that particular area. Alright, so right now I'm also going to work on the inside to get that seam smoothed out. I don't want to see that. For right now, I'm not going to perfect the sphere or the cylinder too much. I'm going to lift it off, and now I'm going to go over to another piece, and I'm going to make it into the shape that I want. I want to make sure the inside is making a nice, perfect circle. And what's going to happen is I'm going to use my needle tool to trace that cylinder so that I can kind of just cut that part off. Now this would be a good time if I wanted to give a little bit more of a base. Since it's a fairy house, you might want, something sitting outside of that fairy house and not just a bottom to it. So you could always use this as an opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to take my needle tool and give it an organic shape, more for the front than the back, just to get it started. And then I might decide I want to keep it, or I could always trim it the whole thing off. at the edge of my cylinder. So what I'm doing now is just deciding. I'm making decisions. What looks good to me? This looks like what I want the front of the house to, the front of the fairy house to look like. Do I want a base on it? And if I do I need it to be this big? I think for this project, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it right to the edge. But now you know the options that you have. That when you're trying to make a fairy house, your bottom does not have to stop at the edges of the actual house. You might decide you want to have a little garden on the outside of the structure. So being able to use your needle tool to trim all of that excess off makes it nice and easy. And now I'm going to do the final step. I'm going to lift this cylinder off, score all of these edges, add some slip, and then I'm ready to join those two pieces together. In another video, I will show you how I'm going to make the roof out of a cone template. So for right now, I just want to get this surface scratched up, add some slip,